Are you dealing with government mostly, or are you dealing with private sector as well?
Both.
I'm very biased.
I think the gold standard is Dubai. I have learned in my experience working in Saudi has been that if we are to bring traditional offerings to Saudi, that doesn't excite them.
Interestingly, a very large group of young entrepreneurs, young people from Pakistan,
These are conversations that forward-looking people would not like.
if you talk to, I think, 4 out of 5 people, they'd want to leave Pakistan.
Trying to make an environment for them to not go will probably require a lot of effort from a lot of different stakeholders.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, Context with Aasiya Riaz. In this series today, I'm bringing you to a young entrepreneur, a young businessman who's chief operating officer of a technology company, InfoTech Group. InfoTech Group is not just working in Pakistan for the past 2 decades, but also working in many other regions in the world. And one of those regions is Saudi Arabia. Muhammad Haris Naseer Sahib, Chief Operating Officer, it's a pleasure and an honor that you were able to join me. Haris, if I may, before we talk about anything else, please tell me a little bit about InfoTech Group, or tell the audience a little bit about InfoTech Group.
So we're essentially a group of technology companies and technology initiatives. It started off in 1995. We will be 30 years old this December, and it's a moment of pride for all of us. So what started as a very, very small, primarily just started off as, in the early 90s, personal computers were just coming in, and especially in Pakistan, there was really no automation, there was no usage of computers, and personal computers was primarily the first thing that Infotech got into, just as a reseller for these larger IBMs, and there used to be brands like Compaq and APS and ATS and all of these great companies out of the US and other places. So we essentially started as their resellers and agents in Pakistan, and then started evolving as to where the technology. So we were when BlackBerry was a thing back then. Some of the people that used to work for us in the 90s, they then went on to Canada and started working for BlackBerry. Yes. And then when they returned to Pakistan, they said, "Oh, there's this great opportunity," and we partnered with BlackBerry, and we started.
Company, yeah. And now where are you today?
And now we've evolved into 3 distinct lines of business. So we still continue to do that bit of systems integration work to be partners with these large companies. Then we do a lot of specialized services, industry vertical services. Power and utility sector, banking and FSI sector, government, public administration automation. So we develop solutions either through our partner network or indigenously, and then we deploy them to essentially automate various areas of these industries. The third business line is our product and research division. That's where we're coming up with our own software products, traditionally for the past 10, 12 years. But now we're moving, as world is moving more towards AI and autonomy, we are now doing research in various industries, how to bring this software, hardware, processes, and all these platforms together to create this technology service, which is not just either a software or a hardware, but it's actually an outcome-based technology service. So we're not going to be, as future, Infotech is going to be a company that powers outcomes and for our clients rather than selling them a specific technology.
The bio that I was looking at, you work in GovTech quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I know that you're in Africa.
Africa, yeah. We work a lot in Africa, yeah.
Is that the only region, or you've gone in other?
So in GovTech area, we do, of course, work in Pakistan.
And what do you do in GovTech? I know that NADRA, which is our national database and registration authority, has been winning contracts in other countries as well to developing their databases and citizen things. So are you in that field?
Yes.
Are you
So,
dealing
so
or
is
competing with NADRA in that sense?
correct. Effectively, I wouldn't say competing. We do essentially the same thing in certain areas. So, for example, we have a platform for national ID management and civil registration. That's something that NADRA also does. But then we do a lot of other things which in Pakistan SCP does. So, business registration platforms, tax filing, that would be FBR. So, yes, what NADRA does is also part of what we do as our GovTech platform, but we also partner with NADA. That's very, very, very interesting to know that in
Yes.
technology, a lot of companies that are doing similar things can bring together complementing skill set and
Absolutely.
create even more value for themselves as well as for our clients. So we do partner with NADA Technologies Limited, and we do try and work together in various parts of the world. They have certain strengths, we
what
have
have you
certain strengths.
done in GovTech with other
So in
countries?
GovTech, let's say, today if you go into Tanzania, they have a fully digitalized civil registration system, like in Pakistan. My daughter was born. I had to go to the Union Council office,
Birth
and
certificates and stuff, yes.
it's digital, but it's still a cumbersome process. So in Tanzania, they're very forward-looking, the Africans, because they don't have any legacy processes. So we developed a process and platform for their government, and now the hospitals have access to this system. So whenever a child is born in Tanzania, the parent can actually, while the mother is recovering in the hospital, the father can actually, or whoever can actually go, and there's a desk within the hospitals where you can get all your civil registrations done. So you don't have to go to these various offices. So that's one example. Then in Ghana we did their business registration process. So sitting online, this was back in 2000, 10 years ago, you could register your entire organization digitally in 2-3 days. For government of Somalia, we automated their entire customs processes. So anything that comes in and out of Somalia runs or essentially is managed on a platform. So these are the kind of GovTech areas that we work in Africa.
Why Saudi Arabia?
It's the
Have you been in Gulf countries before?
Yes. We have traditionally been working in UAE, Qatar, these places, in the vertical segments that I mentioned, banking, capital markets, these areas. And Saudi, I mean, just a high-level answer would be, it's the place to be for
Why
everyone
not?
these days, right?
That's the biggest growing economy.
It is, and there is a lot. I've been to Saudi, maybe 15-20 times in the past couple of years, and it is a very interesting place to be. Not necessarily, as fruitful for certain areas of business as it would be maybe for future areas, but there is certainly a lot of conversation, a lot of investment talk, a lot of will of people within Saudi, as well as people who are advising them, these larger consulting groups. There's all sorts of these futuristic initiatives, automation drives. So there is a lot happening there, and in my view, when you have to expand your business, you do have to physically be there to understand what's happening on the
What
ground.
kind of outlet have you opened in what
So
business have you
we
registered in Saudi?
we have been working in Saudi for about 10-15 years, but traditionally it had always been that our Pakistani company, we'd sign contracts and our people would go do the projects, come back. So we didn't have a physical presence there. Ever since last year, we've opened up an office there. We have resources on ground, primarily sales and business development resources that are working on developing new lines of revenue for us. So there are certain areas in Saudi that we see working and really maturing in maybe in the next 2 years or 3 years, because the traditional technology side is quite saturated in Saudi. So our focus or our strategy for Saudi is that we want to aim for that 2030, 2035 vision that Saudi has, and align our offerings accordingly.
Are you dealing with government mostly, or are you dealing with private sector as well?
Both. So governments, we are dealing through certain entities that the government outsources or gives the work to, because we as a foreign entity do have certain limitations when it comes to working with the government, but we do partner in terms of providing skill set and a knowledge and resources to these larger organizations like in Saudi that are kind of semi-government, privately run organizations that do all the work for government. So through that, we're working in some projects in their power sector, we're just doing some in their logistics sector, we're doing some in their capital markets sector. We're just, you know, currently in conversations with a huge, group in the capital markets industry where we are perhaps going to come up with an offering um, for that particular area. I can't say much about
So
that
I've
right now,
been
but
in Saudi Arabia and not in a working mode, but as somebody who's just there for family reasons, and literally one can feel the pace of development there.
I'm
It's like
sure,
it's
yeah,
whizzing around
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
building and it's all around you, and
This,
it's
vibrance.
it's vibrance that
Yeah.
you can feel when you're there. And honestly, before my earlier experiences of going there were completely different than when I started living there. Of course,
I had a similar
it's
experience too.
literally
Yeah.
when you go back, month later, you go and you feel, oh, I'm very biased as a Punjabi and living in Punjab, and there's that we know as Shabazz speed, and things you think of a project and it's
It's
up and
done.
running
Yeah.
and all of that. Even if I go 3 weeks later and I think, oh, this road is completed, oh, this thing is
That's
done. So,
done.
you can't escape the development that's
Yeah.
actually taking place. So, I think that brings me to the question, because I'm just looking at it as a layperson. What's the ease of doing business in Saudi Arabia that you've actually experienced as a company that has gone in and registered,
Yeah.
and you now, officially residents of the country, people who are, working with your company? Uh, what's that been like?
That has been slightly, if I can put it mildly, not as we expected.
Okay.
So, if I can take you back maybe a couple of years, ever since post COVID, this whole vibe of Saudi coming to be this regional player, this started perhaps maybe 5 years ago. Is when all of this
And
uh,
COVID put a dampener on that.
dampener or yeah, and then the requirement was that everyone wanted to be in Saudi, and they realized that. And then their MISA, the Ministry of Investment, and the Foreign Mission of Pakistan, which does a tremendous job in Saudi, by the way. I've worked with them, and the tremendous work that they're doing.
Plan to have a conversation about that with them soon,
Okay.
inshallah.
Yeah. So all of them, they realize that we can't say that we're going to reach this, and then we want the world to come and work with us, and then we don't have the machinery to actually do that. So they did come up with all these licensing regimes, ease of doing business, single window solutions, but in practice, the way it had been sort of marketed, on ground there are certain challenges there. So there is still a lot of various departments that you have to deal with, a lot of these various like small things, like a GM of the company would have to personally use a lot of these portals that you have to do, and most of it is in Arabic. Yes, they're doing it now, they're shifting to bilingual where there's English available, but then you'd be handicapped. You need someone to translate all of that and do all of that. So that has been a little bit of challenge, opening up the bank and ease of doing business, I would say, as we
Let's
expected.
compare with other countries in the region, compare with Pakistan.
I think the gold standard is Dubai for the world, by the way.
Okay.
Like, you can be up and running totally offline,
One
fully
window
digital,
operation,
one
yeah.
window. Any and all problems that you have as a business or as as an expat, you can deal through these single window operations in UAE. And I think Saudi is trying to move towards
Is it
that.
very anxiously and very,
and-
very enthusiastically actually trying to
And they
be
would,
that and
they
be
would.
that.
What people don't understand or see is that today UAE is at that level because they have been working on this for the past
They
15
started
years.
way earlier.
Right? So you just don't view the outcome. Look at the journey as well. And Saudi, the pace has been very quick. I'm hopeful that in the next couple of years, all of this would be the ease of doing business would be very easy. But as of now, it is challenging. We do have to involve consultants, and we do have to have this local skill set to do
So,
that.
what would you advise companies like yours from Pakistan? Is that an area they should go, and because the potential is very large, they should go in and tap into that potential?
Certainly,
And young professionals from Pakistan?
well, young professional, I would not say go to Dubai, but then because then I would be losing potentially good good people in
I
Pakistan.
would get to that. Yeah.
But yes, I would encourage everyone. But one thing that I have learned in my experience working in Saudi has been that if we are to bring traditional offerings to Saudi, that doesn't excite them. They've seen that
I also
there's
feel they're very forward looking.
yes,
They're thinking
you
of
have
the
to
steps
be
ahead,
correct.
multiple steps ahead.
Correct. So as I said, I mean, companies from Pakistan, technology companies, they should definitely go study, go again, persevere in a couple of years, take your time. Okay, couple of years maybe too much, but take your time to study, okay, where do they want to be in 2030, and start developing offerings and solutions for that, because even if you start today, it does take 3, 4, 5 years to develop that. If we go and say, okay, we are a very good destination, we have this price arbitrage and cost arbitrage and outsource your work to us, these are conversations that forward looking people would not like to have, and they would lose interest. And then they have these options of these large Indian companies there, Egyptian companies, our workforce, very skilled
Lebanese
workforce, but we
workers,
do
yeah.
have a language barrier. There is a lot of Arabic speaking, similar cost situation available in Saudi, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Morocco. All these people have an inherent language advantage on us. So we need to have a vision advantage on them in order to succeed. So we have to look into. And then the other thing that I keep suggesting everyone is that don't also view Saudi not only as a destination for selling your services, but actually going and operating technology based services. So there's a great startup culture there. If you are, let's say, if I am successful in selling some form of capital markets technology around the world, in Saudi, I also am viewing on how I can leverage that technology to set up maybe a technology driven capital markets business in Saudi, or a fintech business in Saudi that enables that. I don't have to actually go and look for customers to sell my technology. I can go into the operations of that business, because that is all a space that is being created right now. In the past 2 years, SAMA, their regulator, has issued, I think, about 50 fintech licenses to all these small players that are doing one thing or the other. These two would
Gets
be
to be
my
easy.
areas of interest in Saudi. What would they need 3, 4 years from now? They're big on AI. They're big on, they are
I've
betting
actually
big
met,
on it.
interestingly, a very large group of young entrepreneurs, young people from Pakistan who are there, who've started living there with their families, are working there. Not just, I mean, people who worked elsewhere in the world and are, sort of in their 30s and 40s and starting to make that home and working over there, which means the environment must be very, very vibrant and lucrative.
Yes, yes. I think there has been a social. I mean, everyone knows there has been a significant social shift in Saudi. Uh, the the whole gender issue is kind of, I would say, more close to what the global norms are, in terms of, if my wife, or my mother or my sister wants to go out to the mall alone, everywhere else they can. Traditionally, I have never lived there, but what I have been told and what I know is that it was very difficult 10 years ago to
Earlier.
do that. And now
No, I've
it
not
is.
experienced that in the past
Yeah.
three years that I've been there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that means that it is now becoming a situation where even if the economic opportunity is there, and the quality of life, the lifestyle freedom is also now available. Otherwise, I would have assumed that a young professional who just married, younger kids, no matter how much money you get, if you're coming home and your family is all about, oh, we can't live here, we can't get out of the house, all day, you would end up, moving away, and that has changed. So it has created this,
Considerably, I
yeah.
think.
So I
I,
think
I
that
see
is
that, yeah.
that is a big difference why people are now moving with their families, setting up their homes there.
You touched upon the idea or the issue of what I'd call brain drain. You know, Pakistanis, young Pakistanis, very bright, very sort of uh, you know talented
Yeah.
people. If you talk to, I think, 4 out of 5 people, they'd want to leave Pakistan. Any
Unfortunately, yes.
opportunity that they get, they'd want to go and work abroad, perhaps get a passport. They think life is better there. So you're of course a technology company, and your you know bread and butter, your livelihood really
People.
depends on young people,
Yeah.
young technology experts coming and working with you. How do you deal with that?
It is probably the biggest challenge right now that not only infotech, I think all of the industry faces right now. The brain drain is there, certainly. The best of the minds will find opportunities everywhere they look. Some are more uh, connected to their roots. Let's just say they have families, or they just feel about their country, and then they would probably resist the idea. But then you create an environment in the country where everyone has more worries than good things in a day. Then people do start, people, especially those who don't have that kind of connectedness to their homes, they do find these opportunities, and they do get these opportunities, and we have to deal with that. People are leaving in big numbers. That is absolutely true. So we, I
Does
as
that
an
affect the quality of people that you have to
it does,
employ?
of course it does. Of course it does. The best of the best people. I wouldn't say that we don't have good people here. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that we could have had more good people.
We could
Had
have
we,
retained more
we
good
could have
people.
retained more good people had we created that environment. But I also am very pragmatic, like we were discussing, before we started, is that businessmen are generally very pragmatic. So this is an issue that I see, and I have to deal with it. So
Yeah.
how I deal with it is that, okay, I also shifted my perspective that, okay, let's just start viewing them as ambassadors of Pakistan then.
Yes.
They are going.
Not a brain
The
drain, but a
stopping
brain
them,
gain, as
yes.
we've recently
So,
heard.
correct. So trying to make an environment for them to not go will probably require a lot of effort from a lot of different stakeholders. Require maybe 2, 3, 5, 10 years. I don't know how long, but what I can do instantly is that I can make them, you know, sell and brand
You,
Pakistan at
you,
least.
you make it worth their while to stay here.
That, and if they're not staying here, you at least give them this confidence and vision and love and empathy that, okay, you are going, we're sad to see you go, but when you go there, do remember that you are a Pakistani, and whatever you can do in your capacity, whether you're a developer or a manager or a CEO or a president, look towards where your roots are, and do try and use whatever platforms available to do something for
I
that.
think we're very blessed in that sense. I think no
Yes,
Pakistani who
but I
leaves the
see that
country
changing,
leaves the
Asiya.
sense of Pakistan. You think so?
Yes, because I've sat in a lot of casual conversations outside of Pakistan where I have had Pakistanis talk bad about Pakistan.
No,
I've seen that.
that's an armchair conversation. But do you see this in
But that
their
shouldn't
action?
happen, because then that translates into, in my view, the psychology and the mindset of that particular individual. If in your casual environment you're saying that, and then it does somehow subconsciously translate into a, and it'll take up a lot of time. But I do have examples where I've seen this at the workplaces as well, especially in UAE, where I do see a stark difference between the kind of help that their expat community of other countries is doing, as opposed to what Pakistanis are doing in the workplace. They become, since they don't have that kind of a vibrant thing to go back to, they're so possessive about making sure that they don't lose the quality of life that they have, that they would not take risk on their fellow countrymen. And then this is, again, it could be, by the way, could be
Country
my
people, by the way,
experience.
I have to remind you to be gender conscious here, not just countrymen.
Country people.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, okay. Sure. I mean, I am absolutely with you on that. It's just,
No, okay. So I think
yeah.
we should look at the reality of it. So this is essentially when we talk about brain drain, we're
So
talking about
it is there.
people's need for economic
Yes.
migration, and that brings us to Pakistan's economy, which of course is not doing so well. So I have to ask your take as somebody who's been operational in this economy for 30 odd
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
and inshallah will continue to grow.
Inshallah.
If you were tasked to change three main things to make it more worthwhile for more businesses to grow here, for more entrepreneurs to be born here, for more and more young people to take a stake in this country, if you were tasked to do three things that you could change today, what would you do?
Well, there's so many things to pick from. It's hard
Yeah,
to
that's
choose three.
exactly. You
It's
see, so
hard to
that's what I
choose three.
think. I think when you
It's
talk to
hard.
people,
Yeah.
it's very easy to criticize. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's you. I'm saying
No,
this is
I
all of
do.
us.
I do
But when
understand.
you have to sit up and say, okay, this is the area where I can reform, what would you reform? Let's not do three. Let's do one. What would you
Okay,
change?
so I think the number one thing that I would reform, and by the way, just before I answer that, I do this criticism point. I'm absolutely with you on that. Whenever I see and people criticizing Pakistan, especially, I am very aware of the fact that whatever Infotech and Haris and is today is because of what this
Because
country has given us.
one person who became an overseas Pakistani, your father, decided, no, I'm not going to do it here.
Correct.
I'm going to go and
Go back.
invest in Pakistan. And now his children are working with
But
him.
I am not
building
only
the
talking
company.
about him. He just started it. But where we are today, we would not have been if we did not have great men and women working for us.
Absolutely.
And those are Pakistani people. So I am very aware of the fact that whatever all of the successful businesses and everyone enjoys is because of whatever this country has
Yes.
given. Now, but the fundamental challenges remain. One thing that I would actually pick would be probably education,
Okay.
because that translates to a lot of factors that play into your social, economical, or all those factors. And a very close second pick would be some form of recourse when something bad happens to you. So I'm not going to say the justice system should be well oiled. Let's say if I as a business am facing a legitimate challenge, there has to be a quick enough recourse available to me to overcome that challenge. I'm not saying give me some extra privilege or any, make me, I'm a businessman, give me these privileges, but give me a way to resolve my problem with the least amount of resistance so that I can go back and start, focus on growing my business and in turn the economy. And education is important because education not only gives you the skills that are required, but also gives you perspective, exposure, humility, empathy, social norms of developing teams together. Because when you talk about doing big things, we can't do them individually. We have to do them as
Absolutely.
teams. And that, I think the education framework provides for that platform and that learning ability where you sit in a classroom, you work, you study with different people, and you develop that skill of working with people.
You've talked about the gap that there is. Where are you picking the responsibility? And by you, I don't mean
I
InfoTech
understand.
Group. What
I understand as
is
a community.
you have to give back
Yeah.
to
Yes.
gain back. I mean, we have next door India, where you have many examples of, where either the government has come up and given you their IITs, or, people have invested and they have given you all of that. In our case, we have only small islands, maybe examples that we can count on, sort of fingers of one
Yeah.
hand. Where are you coming in to create that skill set or facilitate that skill set in young people, that quality education that we so badly need?
Yeah. So, off the top of my head, I can tell you three areas where the industry, let's just say, or the businesses, let's just say, are investing. So we are doing our own skill development programs. The primary driver for that is to fulfill the need that we have for skill development. So, for example, for us, we partner with universities not only in the KLI area, but we have partnerships in Bahawalpur, in Khanewal, in Gujranwala, and we run these internship programs with them primarily for two things. One, developing the pipeline for our resources, and also to create a feedback loop for the university to understand what they're working on. So
I think
that's one.
I understand what you're doing. I'm sorry I'm
Yeah.
interrupting. Is the business community that's earning from Pakistan doing enough in that area?
Yes, and the second area actually is where we are doing more, and that is we are in constant our contribution, perhaps not in monetary terms, but our contribution in terms of time is immense on these areas. So a lot of these IT companies, and I'll talk about the IT association and the role that these people. I gave a significant amount of my time taking away from my business to these platforms, which then create these conversations with policymakers, with skill development. So there's a full skill task force that is working on plans of skilling 20,000 people, 100,000 people on various technologies, and that feedback we are facilitating the program in terms of giving them the areas of investing in skill development, and giving them all the resources that are available to us in terms of the trainers that we can provide, the curriculum input that we can give. So we are giving all of this to that ecosystem for it to develop those skills.
Thank you very much, Haris. This was really
It was a
wonderful.
pleasure. I
hope
wish
it
we had
is-
more time,
It
but
is something that's useful for our audience, for young people out there who, of course, many like InfoTech Group employ. And he talked about also what the region holds, the promise that entrepreneurs and companies can actually explore in the Gulf region, especially in Saudi Arabia, which is now sort of at the top of the emerging markets in that region. And also, some of the questions that we try and answer, or we endeavor to at least ask. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time,
Thank
Haris.
you, Aasiya. It's
And
a
if you
pleasure.
like more of this content, please like and subscribe. And also, please leave feedback. Who would you want to talk to next? Who would you want me to talk to next? Who would you want that I question, and what questions should I ask? Thank you very much.